When you talk about an Audi manufacturing line in a developed country, the partner ecosystem is quite mature, has been at play, versus when you go to an emerging country for textile manufacturing, the expertise and the distribution and the whole support network is not there. And emerging fast, but it's not necessarily there at the same level at a developed country. From an organizational perspective, how do you provide coverage in these two developed and developing economies?
Well, we have locations there. I mean, we have teams, and so if you go look at the amount of sales teams that we have, they're in the largest GDP geos that are out there. I would almost argue that some of the immature markets are easier than the more mature ones. I think there's a lot of arrogance in the very mature ones. I think there is a lot of legacy, very, very complex, very legacy systems that have been running for 15, 20 years. There's lack of technical competency. You got IT and OT. Some industries they talk, or some companies they talk, some they don't. And it's almost when they're less mature, they're more open to, okay, what do we have to go do? It's like, doctor, I'm here, my leg hurts, help me. Versus, well, I think I know this, and you tend to have less egos. Think about how some of the very most mature critical infrastructure systems, they're almost frozen. How do I go and update this thing? Who even knows where it goes? Is it a USB stick? Where's the prom? That kind of stuff. So I think that's great. And I think we've seen, and unfortunately, it's kind of had to take some pretty brutal breaches before that's happened. And good news is, I think, at least if you think about some of the governmental regulatory things like NIS2 or the Disclosure Act that happened a couple years back, where if you were a manufacturer, it can be anybody, if you're a publicly traded large organization and you had a breach, you had to go and disclose not only IT devices, but OT and IoT devices, non-traditional devices. And if you didn't, CFO, COO, and the president could be liable personally. So a lot of those regulatory things have driven a lot of the, okay, we got to open our eyes and think a little bit differently here too.